Hey everyone, Amtrak Guy 365 here, and today on this remade edition of Engines of Amtrak, I'll be rediscussing the Bombardier Alstom HHP-8. This is a remake of the original episode you can still watch as of the making of this one. Amtrak was gearing up for its first high-speed train throughout the mid to late 1990s. They had just finished electrifying the entire Northeast Corridor and were cooking up a high-speed train set to run the entire route from Washington, D.C. to Boston, Massachusetts. It went under the name American Flyer, later Acela Express. As part of this modernization plan, 29 of the reliable AEM-7s were slated for refurbishment, and the fickle, heavyweight E60s were to be retired. In order to fill in for these gaps, Amtrak asked Bombardier and Alstom to not only refurbish the AEM-7s and build their new high-speed trains, but also 15 new electric locomotives. Reusing electrical drive tech from Alstom's SNCF class BB36000, these new dual-cab units were known as the HHP-8. The HH stood for high horsepower, P for passenger gearing, and 8 for 8,000 horsepower. The original designation was HHL-8, L standing for locomotive, but I don't think anyone has ever called them that. The units featured regenerative braking, meaning unused power would be redistributed into the overhead wires when braking for other trains to use. They were rated for a top speed of 135 miles per hour, produced 8,000 horsepower, and weighed in at 222,000 pounds. They had a length of 67 feet 1 inch, a width of 10 feet 5 inches, and a height of 14 feet 5 inches. They came equipped with Nathan K5LA hybrid air horns. Interestingly, the locomotives would be owned by Philip Morris Capital and released out to Amtrak. Why? I don't know. Testing commenced from 1999 into 2000, and the results proved satisfactory. Revenue service began around the end of 1999 into 2000, and they were used on whatever trains needed pulling, intercity and long distance. They were capable of hauling around 14 to 18 coaches. Maryland Area Regional Commuter Rail, or MARC, received 6 units of their own, entering service from 2001 into 2002. Visually, Amtrak's units look similar to the Acela Express. This was an intentional choice, as the Acela regional brand of trains would be a common job for the HHP-8s. Because of their shape and power, they earned nicknames like Banana, Rhino, and Hippo by crews. However, early in their service life, they started to reveal their many issues.
Oh, come on, now what?
First of all, they had trouble swapping voltages on the Northeast Corridor. Other issues included microprocessors and cab signals malfunctioning during extreme weather. Wheel slip was a major problem, caused by the 8,000 horsepower. It was simply just too much. Slippage was especially common during snowy and rainy conditions, and autumn when leaves fell on the line. This was made worse as if the unit detected wheel slip, the whole offending truck would shut down and made it difficult to get moving again. All of this soon culminated with their trucks, a design shared with the Acela, developing cracks in the brackets. In August 2002, all 15 HHP-8s, along with the Acela sets, were pulled from service to be repaired. The AEM-7s and remaining E60s had to pick up the slack. Amtrak even had to borrow power from MARC in New Jersey Transit. After the HHP-8 quickly returned to service, Amtrak was able to retire the E60s completely by early 2003. For a while thereafter, the HHP-8s worked fine, shuttling trains up and down the NEC. With time, however, reliability issues returned. Their outdated computers caused brake lockups, and wheel slip was a constant plague on the motors. Spare parts were also scarce due to the limited roster number. Bombardier and Alstom apparently were not very willing to help Amtrak with repairs either.
That's a dirty trick, Robotnik.
Nonetheless, they soldiered on throughout the 2000s. By 2009, though, several units were constantly out of service, and they required unscheduled maintenance on average every 12 days. Clearly, change was needed. In October 2010, Amtrak ordered 70 Siemens-built ACS-64 locomotives to replace the HHP-8s and aging AEM-7s. The first ACS-64 entered service in February 2014, and the HHP-8s were promptly and completely retired by November 7th of that year. They were renumbered to 680 to 694 to avoid conflict with the ACS-64s, and are now stored at Amtrak's Wilmington, Delaware shops. Much later in November 2019, Philip Morris Capital, the company who owned the units but leased them out to Amtrak, sued the railroad. They said Amtrak owed $92.9 million out of a $250 million contract, in which they claimed Amtrak cannibalized the units for parts, which was a breach of contract. The case was settled in 2021, but the terms are unknown. So, is this the end of the HHP-8 story? Not quite.
Oh, all right. Give me the scoop, Robotnik.
Thank you, Sonic, I will.
Mark successfully refurbished their units in 2017 and continue to operate them as of the making of this video. Meanwhile, Amtrak decided to convert number 691 into a cab car in late 2022. It's been renumbered to 90691. More units may be converted to replace the old Metroliner cab cars. Amtrak's HHP-8s only lasted about 15 years. They sorta worked, but just barely. They were plagued with wheel slip and had a number of mechanical and electronic issues. No matter, it seems they still have a little bit of life left in them on MARC trains and as cab cars on home rails. They definitely left their mark and, as of now, continue to leave their mark on the history book of Amtrak, the National Railroad Passenger Corporation. Thanks for watching this remade edition of Engines of Amtrak. Thanks to those who sent in pictures and videos to be used in this episode as well. Stay tuned for next time where I'll rediscuss Seems like this was the last remake for the series. Well, I thank you very much for joining me on this process of remaking all the old episodes. Wasn't always easy, but I would say the results were well worth it in the end because I don't really look too fondly back on the old episodes. Some of the information wasn't accurate, and the editing is pretty bad compared to the newer episodes. Anyway, please check the pinned comment below for more details on what I'm going to do with Engines of Amtrak going forward. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video.
Next time, see what a thrill it is to fly on a train.